Okay, good morning. Welcome to the Executive Director Search Committee meeting starting at 8:30 a.m. on July 11th, 2024. Calling the meeting to order. If we could have a roll call, please.
Committee Member Blanco,
Present.
Committee Member Perez,
Present.
Committee Member Pages.
Thank you. Okay, we have one action item on the agenda. It is to approve the amended employment agreement for Mr. Alston for Executive Director. A reminder that we approved the job description and subsequently the hiring of Mr. Alston on May 30th, 2024 as Executive Director. And it was the committee's goal to finalize a employment contract and negotiate a final salary for Mr. Alston. I'm going to ask if Michelle Hedges or HR has any comments on anything new that we may need to know about the employment agreement. Board members, have you all had a moment to review the employment agreement?
Yes.
Okay. Ms. Hedges, is there anything that we may need to know pursuant? No, okay. I had a discussion with Mr. Alston regarding his salary and a final number that I'm going to recommend here. I personally don't have an issue with the employment contract either. I know that legal also did review it and was okay with it. So my recommendation is going to be to the board, to the main board meeting, is that his salary is set at $360,000, which is commensurate with other similar positions throughout the state. And after discussing with Mr. Alston where he believes he should be. So I leave it up to any discussions that we may need to do on that matter.
His current salary is what?
It's currently at $320,000 as an interim executive director.
Do we have documentation on the 360?
Documentation in
As far
regards
as
to-
other agencies and other firms?
Yes, sir. Our prior executive director. Isn't it on? Okay. I apologize. Our prior executive director for GMX salary when she left the agency was at $368,000. I reached out to Tampa, and their salary range is actually anywhere from $300,000 to $367,000. And the current director for Central Florida Expressway is actually currently at $320,000. Now, there was a salary survey. It did not include other than us in the state of Florida, but Georgia Expressway Authority actually did a compensation survey for expressway agencies, and it included 12 different agencies, and you figure their salary ranges was anywhere from $230,000 to the top of $285,000.
All right, so let me do a recap here.
Yes, sir.
300 to 367 is the first number you gave me, and that was what?
The previous.
Tampa.
Yes.
Tampa. Okay, perfect. So that's in the state of Florida.
Yes, sir.
Then you gave me the previous executive director for MDX.
Yes, sir.
Okay, that's a bad example, so we'll take that one out.
Okay.
And then 320 was who?
Central Florida.
Central Florida.
Yes, sir.
Another Florida-based one. And then 230 to 285 is a salary survey from where?
Yes, that was conducted by the Georgia Expressway Authority by an outside consultant.
I mean, look, I hope I've built a reputation as being very blunt and very straightforward. I'm not comfortable at 360. There's no way that I can support 360 as a starting salary on this one. When the data isn't supporting it, one of the reasons we exist was because of the abuses on MDX's side as far as expenditures and salaries and compensations and termination term things. In my opinion, I think his current salary now is a fair salary for the job. I think we arrived at that number. I think we went back and forth, but I think we arrived at that number. I don't know what his benefits package is. We haven't talked about that.
There were some discussions that I had with him about the fact that I believe that many of those other examples, there's also benefits packages there, such as automobile compensations and several other things which are not part of this for
Okay.
this position. There was also some increases in salaries internally here, which he did not, fall under that at the time. So that's part of some of the items that we had discussed together. That's why, based on all of those items, I personally was okay with that that number, and based also on the fact that he was an interim director and now will be full time. I mean, he was full time, but I mean he's completely dedicated to the agency. So that was where my thought process was.
Right, but
I'm open to discussion.
sure, no, of course, that's why we're here. I don't see a difference between his role as interim or full time. I mean, or executive director. I mean, he's doing the same job.
Right.
Right. I just think it sets the wrong precedent if we went in this direction. I just think there's always an opportunity to review it on an ongoing basis. We can look at it next year and the year after that, depending on how things are going. It allows us to review his compensation on a yearly basis, correct? Okay.
Yes.
So I don't think we should start the first year at a substantially higher base. I also would like to understand his benefits package. I haven't seen that, and what has been excluded or included in his benefits package.
Do we have any information about? Because I did not discuss that specifically with him.
His benefit package is identical to all other employees at the agency.
Okay.
Perfect. Okay.
I think when you look at the other agencies, executive directors, their packages are generally more, they have auto allowance, as you indicated. They do have expenditure allowance as well. As a government agency, for example, if you take someone to lunch, that's on your personal responsibility, and you're not allowed to take, because we have a zero ethics policy. So that's the reason why there's a package to allow somebody to have, it's not necessarily entertainment, but it is more of a general business expenditure allowance as well as a auto allowance. So those are the two things that when you look at an executive package at this level, they do include. I don't believe it's in this contract, Michelle.
No, ma'am, it's not.
Okay. So I think when you look at that, that's probably an additional $25,000 of additional benefit that she did not quote when she was doing the salary analysis. 'Cause I think you have to look at the entire executive package. The other executive directors would also get health insurance where the agency would pay the premium. Is this contract?
No, ma'am, it does not.
So the other benefit, when you look at the other total authorities, generally, is that the health insurance, the executive director doesn't pay for the premiums. The agency takes that on, and there's usually a life insurance premium as well. So there's an overall, package that. So I don't think we're comparing apples to apples. I think the higher salary was kind of incorporating those other things that are not in here. So it's how you kind of want to look at the overall compensation amount.
And if I could just add one thing to that, is the fact that according to his contract, he would receive the same increase as the rest of the employees with the agency. And in January, his salary was not increased. And if it was with the 3% that all the other team members did receive, he would actually be increased to $329,600. So almost $10,000 right there.
Was that an increase or was that a CPI?
That was the,
CPI.
Yes,
So
ma'am.
he did not get the CPI last year.
CPI being?
The Consumer Price Index.
Oh, yeah, of course, but
Okay, so the general employees did get a rate adjustment for the CPI. I don't believe he got it, is that correct?
no ma'am, he didn't.
and that was to his base.
That,
That
he
increases
did
his
not
base.
get it, but
I
all
know,
the, all the other
All
employees,
the other, but that increases the base.
that would have increased the base, but it did not.
Correct.
Because he didn't take the CPI adjustment.
But he's due for that CPI in January?
Well, he would be evaluated.
Evaluated.
You know, and he's, I guess August is the annual.
Right.
So he would be include merit or CPI, however the board, executive board looks at it. So does the other contract contemplate an annual evaluation, Michelle?
The current contract does state that he would be evaluated in the same manner in which he currently is right now. Let me pull that section.
And the draft contract has a 3% automatic increase unless the board determines otherwise.
In the current proposed contract.
Yeah. Look, I have a problem taking all these benefits out of the benefit package and putting it as cash to the employee. That increases the base and only explodes our cost long-term. An expenditure package for entertainment or business purpose, there's a purpose for that. There's a reason that exists. And it's only if it's used, right? It's not automatic. He doesn't get a payment regardless of whether he uses it
No,
or not, correct?
I believe the way the other packages work, it's like a lump sum on an annual basis, whether it's 5,000 or 10,000, so it's a lump sum.
Okay. And just curious, he has health care elsewhere?
I don't know, I think that's an
No,
HR.
sir, he does have health care with us. And he pays the same.
Okay, so he does have health care with us?
Yes, sir, he does.
All right, so, and I'm not familiar with our healthcare program. Do we pay the healthcare program for all the employees?
We do pay 100% of single coverage,
Yeah.
and we do cover part of the cost for family coverage. But his coverage percentage that is paid for by the agency is identical to
Okay, so
any other employee.
he does have healthcare.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so we are paying for healthcare.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So the only difference we're seeing right now is the issue of I don't know, car allowance, which he hasn't requested, right?
No, sir.
And the entertainment, whatever the entertainment thing is cost, right? Is that right?
Correct.
Okay. Yeah. I am of the mind, based on the fact that he didn't get a CPI, I would set it at what would have been a CPI number, which is the 329 number. I think that's fair. And explain to me how this entertainment thing works again. You're saying it's a lump sum in some cases, but does he have an expense account? Does he have an expense account?
No, sir, he does not.
He does not, of any kind.
No, sir.
Does anybody in this firm have an expense account?
No, sir.
Okay. I think the executive director should have an expense account for a number of good reasons, and we could cap it, and it should be on an expenditure basis. I mean, not lump sum at the end or whatever it might be. And I think that should be part of the overall package. Because I think if he needs to take a prospect out or a prospect employee or whatever it might be, I think or whatever he needs to do with it, I think it should be
Agreed.
it should be paid. So I'm okay with the 329 number and an expense account actual usage. I don't know how you would call that. Some people can help me with the language, or I'm sure there's some acronym that explains it. But that's where I'm at.
Any comments? So we'll have to go back and speak with him about,
Well,
this is, I mean, in my view, he has to be comfortable with accepting that, right? I don't know. I don't know what this is a
Senor,
this is a limit that we're comfortable giving, so, we need to have a discussion with him about this. I mean,
If that is the recommendation for the full board between this meeting and the board meeting, I
I
could,
mean, our mandate was to negotiate a salary with him. So that was, that 360 number was discussed with him. If we're gonna, because of what we're discussing now, we need to make a change. I believe we need to have a discussion with him to get his take on it and make sure that he's comfortable with that.
How many times?
No,
I mean,
don't know.
look, Sunshine doesn't allow us to have a conversation and then go back to him. It's being done through you, and that's perfectly fine, and that's the way it has to be done.
Correct.
But we're having a conversation in the sunshine, and I can tell you where I sit on this issue. I don't know. I haven't heard.
I mean, I'm comfortable with that, 329 based on what the CPI he didn't get.
Right.
And then he's also, we'll be evaluating that in a year?
it says annually.
Annually.
So,
Yeah.
So it could start building up.
No, and I'm comfortable with the annual evaluation. I'm comfortable with reviews and do a more thorough market analysis and everything else. I'm not comfortable going from 320 to 360 on the get-go. That for me, again, that's only me among 7 now, is a no-go. 329, I think, is fair. I think it's fair. I think it's a fair adjustment to where he is now. Plus, we had some type of expense account,
Expense account.
which I think is the right thing to do. I think it's the right thing to do.
Do we have an idea of what that number on the average might be elsewhere?
I do not know, sir.
And if it's not, yeah, we need to figure that one out, because if it's not used, like, does it go back into,
Yeah, if it's not used, it's not
you don't
used.
have to, right, it should be based on, right, I guess, per usage,
Yeah,
whatever.
no, if it's not used,
like
if it's not used, it isn't transferred over as a benefit to the,
Correct,
to the-
correct.
to
So we
to the
gotta-
executive director.
Yeah, that has to be clearly defined.
Okay, so that's, I move, can I move? I move that we go for 329, expense account, and that's it.
do you want to propose a
propose.
maximum expense account budget? And of course, if whatever's not used reverts, but do you want to have a specific number to cap that so he's aware of that? Is the proposal 329 plus 20,000 annual expense account, or
That might be too high.
Yeah, I think $12,000.
$12,000.
$12,000 a
I was
month.
gonna say 10 to 12.
Yeah, $12,000. I think it's a reasonable expense account.
May I add something?
Yes, of course.
The actual amount is $329,600 if it's the full 3%. So
Okay.
there is a $600
All
difference.
right, so I propose $329,600
Thank you, sir.
plus an expense account of $12,000 on a usage basis, not a benefit, not a benefit.
Okay.
And and for the record, he has the exact same benefits package that everybody else in the agency has. And the only thing we've not added it wasn't the case for anybody else, and we're not doing it, we're not requesting it, is the car allowance.
Correct.
So if I can have a clarification,
Yes, of course.
and I apologize because I wasn't involved
No,
in
no, of
this.
course, of course.
But I just want a clarification on that. So the previous executive directors did have a business allowance account as well as an auto allowance.
Yeah.
And the business allowance was an annual lump sum to them. So that's how it was treated, and that's usually how it's treated for other organizations. With this organization, the general employees, the executive director has the same exact benefits as general employees. Now, we have two other directors that have contracts, and those two directors do have auto allowance. So I want to make it clear that the previous agency had contracts with two previous employees that are still here, and I'm one of them, quite frankly. And so I do have an auto allowance. I just want to make, so when we say he has all the benefits that the general employees, I believe the director level is a little bit different.
Okay. How much is the auto allowance?
I believe it is 775 a month before taxes. And that's within the contract. That's within the previous director's contract. So I don't know if you want to include that in the contract, so it, you know, at a director level benefit.
So that's about a 725.
$9,300.
$9,300.
Are those the only, are there any other director level positions that do not have that included?
I believe there's one other that was promoted to the director when GMX came in that does not have a contract.
Okay.
Okay.
So I think when you get to
No problem.
the 330 or 329 and add the business allowance and add the auto allowance, you're really kind of somewhere nearing that number.
The business allowance, we're not adding to a benefit as on a raise. So we're not doing that. I am fine with that being a benefit he has access to. If he uses it, that's fine. If he doesn't use it, then. Yeah. No. No, not the car allowance, the business, the benefit.
The business expense.
Yeah.
329,600 with the
Yeah.
business expense.
329,600 plus the business expense.
That's where we are.
Okay, so, right, that's the motion. It's an actual motion on the table.
I second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Jason, do we need to now formalize that number in the actual paper contract?
Yeah, I think
Present to the board?
we'll make some revisions to this. He'll be notified of what the committee is just moved to recommend to the full
Okay,
board.
okay. Because when we, there's an agenda item on the regular board meeting to bring over this update and what the final number is, and I think it should be part of the document. I mean, the final document, obviously, because there's a blank line in there right now for this.
Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken.
We'll revise it right now,
Okay.
circulate it.
Okay. I believe that is the entirety of the agenda. All right. Any other items? Adjourned at 8:54 a.m. Thank you.